A Kursk battle directly turned the special military operation of the Russian army into a military interaction. The Russian army is now being attacked face to face by the Ukrainian army. And they are furious, vowing to regain the lost territory at all costs. Does the Russian army really have this ability? Let's put aside for now where the Ukrainian army will be able to reach in the future and whether it can advance all the way to Moscow. As for the territory currently occupied by the Ukrainian army, there is a high probability that the Russian army will never be able to recapture it at the beginning of this battle. 300 Ukrainian soldiers in Kursk were chasing and attacking a large number of Russian soldiers. They killed anyone who stood in their way and defeated any obstacles. Later, the Ukrainian army added more troops, expanded the scope of attack to Belgorod Oblast and Bryansk Oblast, and the front line advanced extremely smoothly. Currently, the Ukrainian army has controlled nearly 1,000 square kilometers of territory of the Russian army. Now the Russian army's domestic forces are weak, and the frontline elite cannot return for defense in a short time. The Russian army can only send the aerospace forces and young infantry to rescue the situation. But facing the elite of the Ukrainian army and their armor, the Russian army simply can't defend on the first day of the war. The Russian army lost 1 Su-34, 1 Mi-8, 1 Mi-28, and a Ka-52. Even the Russian army detachments that returned for defense were completely annihilated by the Ukrainian army. This time, the Ukrainian army even brought the Patriot air defense system. They really seem to want to occupy the territory and not leave. Now many people are worried that once the Russian army on the front line returns for reinforcement or directly cuts off the logistics supply line of the Ukrainian army, then the Ukrainian army within the territory of the Russian army will be delivering themselves to be killed. This really doesn't need to be overly worried about. The Russia-Ukraine battlefield is a battlefield that is only transparent to the Ukrainian army in one direction. For the Ukrainian army, it's like an open map. But for the Russian army, it's a thick fog. Previously in the war, the Russian army was scattered in various places and it was difficult to annihilate them in one fell swoop. The front line has been very intense. But now, the Russian army scattered in various places have concentrated to return for defense. During the process of marching, they cannot deploy the battle formation, and air defense missiles and the like cannot be deployed either. They are also exposed within the vision of the Ukrainian army, thus giving the Ukrainian army an excellent opportunity to annihilate them. Now the Russian army has built a large number of defense works in the occupied area. Will the returning Russian army still have to charge with human flesh? There has been a special voice on the internet these days, saying that the Ukrainian army's doing this is intended to exchange territory with the Russian army, or that the Ukrainian army uses the occupied territory to exchange for the territory occupied by the Russian army. The possibility is really not high. Now the initiative is in the hands of the Ukrainian army. Why can't the Ukrainian army stabilize the currently occupied territory, annihilate some of the returning Russian troops, attack from both inside and outside, and then counterattack the Ukrainian territory occupied by the Russian army? Moreover, for the Russian army, the most dangerous time may not have arrived yet, since Ukraine, which ranks 27th globally, can occupy Russian territory. Will some other countries be eager to make a move? Will the highly autonomous states of the Russian army have ulterior motives? Will Chechnya be tempted? If the Russian army doesn't handle the Kursk battle properly, it is very likely to face a second division. The specific reasons will be discussed in the next issue.